Welcome, everybody. Thank you, Katie, for hosting today. We appreciate it. It's a beautiful facility, and obviously we've got a big crowd today. I want to call the meeting to order. My name is Joe Bill Wiley. I'm the chairman of the White River State Park Development Commission. And the first order on our agenda is the approval of the June 25th, 2025 minutes. Do I have a motion? So moved. And a second? Second. All right. The next item on the agenda is the commission chair report. I really have no report to make because I generally leave that to our executive director, Terry Seitz. But I do have a couple of different things that I want to mention at this point. We have a new commission member appointed by the mayor, Brittany Crone. She's the new City of Indianapolis Director of Parks and Recreation, and we welcome her to the commission. And I want to congratulate for the reappointment to the commission our legislative folks, two of whom I see here, Senator Walker and Senator Hunley. Congratulations. We welcome you back and look forward to working with you going forward. And then Representative Justin Moad and Shane Lindauer also were reappointed. So we're very excited about that. With that said, I'm going to turn it over to you.
Okay, thank you, Joe Bell. Good morning, everyone. Thanks to Katie and the Idle George for being our host this morning. I know you'll have a chance to speak later as we go around the table, but we're very grateful for your hospitality. Much obliged. A reminder also, this meeting is being streamed as following the executive orders for transparency. So while we always recorded our meetings and posted them later, which we will do, this is now streaming live. And so just be aware of that. If you call for anything like that, the camera will turn to you. I think all of you have been through some of this as well. And we do want to welcome, it's mentioned in my report, we have legal representation through our Secretary Vertical of Energy and Natural Resources. Stephanie Flitner is playing that role. Stephanie is here with us today. I want to acknowledge her and thank you for adding to, we have an Attorney General assignment that also can help us with some things, but we really do appreciate the availability through the Department of Natural Resources and the vertical of, I guess, more or less loaning us Stephanie, and she's played a really good role with us and just giving us some contract review, et cetera. So grateful to have that happen. I issued my executive director report. All of you should have got it. A couple of highlights in addition to the one we just made really is that we are very grateful that the budget committee and budget agency have restored items that were removed initially from the budget after reviewing and basically looking at their capital and preventive maintenance infrastructure request. They had restored fiscal year budgeting of $469,000 and change for each of the 26 and 27 budget years, and then also resurrected was funding for what was initially considered a replacement of windows in the aging National Federation of High School occupied building. That was one of the original structures on the park when it was developed. We're very grateful for that. Something else that's worthwhile highlighting and very unusual, very successful fiscal year for IMAX with, again, net profit of $129,000. And just because it's so unusual, in July, 1 year before a movie is coming out in 2026, we had tickets go on sale for Neil 4 showings of that, and literally within hours they were gone. So we have sold advanced tickets for a movie that doesn't come out till next July. I don't know if that's ever happened before. And I just wanted to acknowledge the very unusual nature and congratulate Neil of going to bat. And I guess you also say that those funds stay with us, right, Neil, for now? And so it's good. We'll earn $1 interest over the next year or something like that. Well, thank you. And I do want to address the recent happenings that have occurred from the state of Indiana with a paragraph that we have also issued to media. The state's vision for the expansion site for the park has changed as part of the steel restructure of the park's expansion has now been removed. The riverside portion of the project directly interacting with the White River remains currently under construction. We do call that riverside for internal use. We're utilizing the $20 million from the IEDC for that. And then the landside portion will undergo some reevaluation. That is still a little bit in flux as to what and how that conversations would be scheduled. So we're looking forward with a continued partnership with Elanco Purdue and the One Health District, as well as any role that the state may play in guiding that down in the future. With that, I want to thank members of the commission, especially those on the design team, the design committee, who truly has volunteered massive amount of time long before my arrival on the expansion. And we will need your insight as we move forward with new ideas or potential new partnerships. So again, thank you for that. And again, appreciate the time to share. And with that, Joe Bill, I will relinquish my time in the executive director report.
Okay, thank you, Terry. Ashland, you're up for the financial report.
All right, good morning. We are looking at May 25 through July 25 today. And our park revenues for that period were higher than budget by 5%. The IMAX revenue was over budget by $169,000. With their high performing movies of Sinners and Formula One. Parking revenue was under budget by $76,000 and 11% for the quarter. It may have been, contributing factors may have been less events than previous years, and also the hotter weather it seemed to affect Indiana's attendance. From 2023 to 2025, our total revenues have increased by $47,000. So if we evaluate our graph for IMAX in blue, 2023 and 2025 have comparable movies that were released. In 2023, we had Oppenheimer, Mission Impossible, Dead Reckoning, and Guardians of the Galaxy. In 2025, we had Sinners on 70 millimeters and Formula One. 2024 were more family genres of movies that do not produce as high revenue, such as Deadpool, Wolverine, Ferocious and Mad Max Saga, Inside Out 2, and Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes. So in green for the park, as I mentioned, we were higher in 2025 over the budget by 5%. And the park's current fiscal year to date surplus is $767,000, driven by Live Nation concert revenue. And the fiscal year to date I am presenting is June of 24 through July 25, so it's actually 13 months for this report. And then the parking revenue in yellow, we see that we were under budget for 25 with less events in the area. But overall, you can see we're fairly stable from 23 to 25, or about equal. And our next slide for expenses. So our maintenance department has been benefiting from using deferred maintenance and preventative maintenance appropriations versus dipping into our operations. They've been below budget by 38% with those benefits. The park payroll, administration, and marketing have been below budget by 5%. And IMAX expenses in 2025 were above budget by 21%, but that's also because of their higher performing movie royalties. And then higher concessions also increases our cost of goods. And our parking expenses have remained fairly stable over the 3 years and were below budget in 2025 by 12%. Our next graph is our balance sheet. Our chart. In the red is our park expansion and restricted funds. And and of that, we have 28 million left from Lilly and 17 million left from IEDC. The gold slice of 8% represents our 24 months of $5 million in our emergency reserves. The green portion of our graph represents our smaller restricted funds such as deferred maintenance, preventative maintenance, our capital reserves for the amphitheater, NCAA buildings, and IMAX CapEx. Then we have our financial statements.
Yeah, first quick question on the balance sheet.
Yes.
With I noticed that there's still a balance of that 28.9 million from the Williams Down grant for the park expansion. But now with the changes of what's going to be happening on Riverside, is that money going to be at risk? Are they going to claw it back? Is that still?
You want me to address that?
Yeah.
So to the best of understanding at this moment, we're waiting to hear affirmation of any request from Lilly for dollars. There's not been a formal request. Conversations have been held, and we've capped that minimally anyway, and we would be prepared accordingly. And then we're making sure we have a kind of a pro forma from the finance committee about what it would cost and the use of IEDC monies to finish out as requested the Riverside portion. So not planning on any additional appropriations or use of the Lilly, just in case. And in hopes that there may be a new vision there that could entice them.
And so do we anticipate that $17 million that's left from IEDC funds, that's enough to create the vision that we'd like? We
anticipate it will cover the projected cost, existing soft costs that are already in play. And then the finish out of the Riverside, it's a little bit premature, and we will have some dollars left. It's a little premature to determine whether that would be enough for a next step.
I guess for the record, you can have some concerns about it.
Yeah.
And I think also the concern that there's a potential for lost revenue too, right? I mean, if, we're not going to be going into the landside portion and not having at the Crane Bay Center as planned, so that's potential for future loss revenue. So
Duly noted.
Thank you.
Okay. So then we have our financial statements. So our revenues were above budget by 106,000. Our expenses were slightly above budget by 5,000. And our net surplus for normal operation was just over 100,000. Our extraordinary transactions, such as the preventative maintenance money and our appropriations for the expansions, are listed below our operation. So upon your review, if you have any further questions, you can reach out to us. And then also included for your information is our foundation balance of 31,000, which remains inactive at this time.
And we'll address that coming up in the strategic planning conversation, FYI.
That concludes my financial presentation.
Thanks, Ashley. Any further questions for excellent or comments?
So I want to make a comment, especially for new members of the commission. The audit committee will be meeting on September 30th, which we typically do to get our first look at the audited statements with the auditors themselves. We have received authority from this commission to approve them as a committee pending final approval with this commission. But the documents have to be submitted to the state prior to our next meeting. I just want to make everyone aware that we'll make certain it's right, and then you'll have a chance to formally approve it at our next meeting. And if you want to participate, we're happy to. No, we will, won't we, Lou?
Absolutely. There's always a seat at the table. So
Exactly. Thank you.
Any other questions? Okay, thank you, Ashley. So normally, Adam Tees would be, he's the chair of our design committee. He would normally be providing an update, but Bill Brown, another member of our design committee and obviously a commissioner, will stand in here for Adam and give us an update on the design.
Thanks, Joe Bill. Obviously, we are proceeding with the Riverside portion of the project. Actually, a number of us visited the site of the Riverside project just a couple of weeks ago. Had the opportunity to see the progress. There's a number of foundations that are going in relative to the River Theater and the shade structure that are happening right now, and then there'll be continued work on the promenade as a part of all of that. With regard to the landside project, as Terry indicated, we're going to need to be rethinking that relative to the changes that have occurred there. And so the design committee is going to be convening itself here relatively soon. Terry and I have talked about that and reevaluating and trying to understand where we're going there. And as much as anything, also try to understand what the budget that is available for that work. To your point, we have to kind of understand, how much money we actually do have left to do that, pending where the Lilly money could or could not end up. So we don't have any report to offer other than that today, Joe Bill, but happy to answer any questions if there are any.
Any questions from those in attendance? Okay, thanks, Bill. Under old business, we have Alec Gray, who's going to give us a strategic planning update.
Yeah, I will pull this up briefly. We've talked about this in previous meetings. The park has not gone through a strategic planning process in a while. We've gone through master planning processes with projects in mind, but not necessarily a strategic plan that sets the park's vision. We've been working with the design committee, Terry, myself, trying to think about what the big questions are that the park needs to answer as we move forward, and kind of setting the framework for how we make decisions about larger scale projects as we move along. We've kind of boiled these down into 9 points that we think have some importance as we go through. Terry mentioned foundation growth earlier as a big piece of the foundation has kind of just sat there over the last several years. We see that as a missed opportunity that we can move forward on. We also have several questions as the park continues to grow with making sure we have our mission set in stone. What do we have? To what degree do we consider public art? How do we utilize these water destinations like the canal and the river that are nearby us? Leadership expansion, all these different pieces. So what we've gone through the process of is kind of shaping the scope of what we would like to have done. We'd like to move forward with the commission's approval to start bringing vendors into the conversation and start getting some bids to understand what this process actually looks like at the cost, and then we would bring that forward once we have that.
At the December meeting, we would hope to get a final understanding if we move forward from today, which I believe we've received good positive input from the work that's been done thus far.
Yeah. So I'm happy to answer any questions. We're just asking at this point to be able to move forward with the process to get our bids to and have those companies that would be bidding on the strategic plan process But this is where the committee will find and permission to come back at the next meeting with a price to vote on.
And so you're looking for a motion? Yeah, I'll move that we move forward with the strategic planning and investigation and determining a vendor to assist us.
We have a second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Welcome, Brad. You're not visible on the screen, but thank you for joining. So under new business, we have a parking study. I'm just gonna read that.
I'm gonna have Charlotte lead it, Joe Bill, and then I'll pop in right after that and go through a few more odds and ends in regard to that. But Charlotte's gonna set the table about why we're here. on that.
Basically, the success of our attractions is very beneficial to the White River parking revenues, and accordingly, the growth in attendance has led to high competing demand for limited space. And I think all of the attractions that are here can agree to that, and that we've really tried to work really hard to accommodate everyone or find alternate places to park and things like that. So we've been in conversations with our parking contractor, Reimagine Parking. And we determined that we need to explore what we could improve on short term and in the long term, with operations and equipment and what we need to look for to kind of help solve that and what we can do to bring in more revenue, if any that we're.
We reached out to two different companies, grateful for a couple of leads being provided by, one was by a park partner and the other was courtesy of a commission member. Following initial discussions, Charlotte collected and submitted some parking data to each. One is to, if we could give them stuff up front, we could probably help lessen the impact of the cost to us. And of the two companies, only one has responded this last week in the secondary response. And again, it being a quasi agency, this is not a critical factor, but Walker Consultants has submitted a proposal to include both short-term and long-term considerations. We have literally, as of this morning, been going back and forth with some of the scope, but pricing is not changed. I will have a request for a motion, but I want to know if there's any input from anyone in attendance today in regards to what we see as a need for doing things better and ways we may do that, whether it's electronics, operations, protocols, whatever, and then looking at some long-term solutions too, if they are needed. And some of our partners will play a role in all of this as well. And so are there any questions for Charlotte or me in regards to the need for parking study?
Do I have a motion?
Terry, have we talked to anyone at Denison about parking?
Charlotte, Dennison, question. The state, we operate by the way, our parking is part of the IDOA contract. That is up next year, so we know that our current vendor is part of this. So we did not reach out specifically to Denison because they could come in on a contract. We're trying to look at things that we could do here, either through the current contract or to build into when the IDOA renews the contract and said these things need to be addressed. So we did not reach out specifically. Does that answer your question, Brent? Okay, great.
I do have something to add to that, Brad. I have reached out in regard to overflow parking. If we can work, some kind of deal out with Denison Parking, especially about the school buses for the State Museum and things like that. So, I've opened up that conversation, but as far as, him being the part of the new MOU or any agreement like that, there hasn't been, but I have reached out to kind of get a better rate for our people to park there in the event we're full.
Just offer one quick comment. Denison is primarily, just for those who don't know, Denison is, as Terry indicated, is really a vendor and an operator, whereas a group like Walker is an engineering company that actually does parking studies. Denison doesn't really do parking studies as such. So just to clarify that.
The most unique thing is that I'm going to say this wrong, the National Parking Convention is going on at the JW. So we got passes there yesterday and, we are walking around like, we don't really know anything we're looking at except the little arms and AI, and it's a big deal. So Charlotte, I'll give kudos to her. She stepped in at my request to look at parking, and we literally have found, that's when we realized we could do better things, either through our existing contract or through a new renewal, and we've got to be better informed. I think there was a conversation held this morning with one of our partners and Charlotte. So the good news is parking is very much needed. Bad news is sometimes it creates conflicts because of needs, and we have an events, monthly meeting on events and communication that hopefully finds those concerns beforehand, and we can address that. But we really have to look at what we could do better. So Charlotte, kudos to you. And I would encourage you to look at her name badge before you leave today, because she came out of the parking convention yesterday with a very unique identity.
And a promotion, right? Fair.
Yeah,
What is it?
parking nerd. It was perfect. They have the cutest little things there. I mean.
I noticed they had M&Ms, but she noticed that. So what I'm going to ask today for the commission is to seek approval of using non-state funds, no tax dollars. These are all from our reserves, for the parking study within an amount not to exceed $22,300. That would be the motion. And then I have a caveat that follows that.
I'll move approval.
Second. Second. All right, all in favor? Aye. Brad?
Have him identify
All
himself.
right,
Can you identify yourself?
Brad.
For the record, Brad, we need to have your last name as part of the vote for the motion.
Brad or type votes yes.
Thank you. Thank you, Stephanie, for the little note that you sent. So appreciate it. And so go ahead if you need to call that. Is that ready? We
Yeah,
good?
no, we're
Okay.
good. We're
The
good to go.
caveat comes, and it's just so we know, we have a monthly leadership meeting, a quarterly leadership meeting. Often, really, with all the attractions and tenants. I did advise the tenants that once we had dollars and cents, once the motion would be approved, we would seek voluntary participation from our tenants and attractions to help allay some of the cost. Again, it's going to be voluntary, so all of you in attendance will get some of that, and just want to let you know to expect that. And as far as Eric, just for you for the museum, I did notify, and Stephanie, I did notify Secretary WRSP and PAR that this would be part of her request, even though we are in the same vertical, and now everybody knows. So thank you very much for the motion and approval. We will report back to you. We do believe the study may be complete before the end of the year based on what we got in our hands.
Before we move on to the attraction updates for all the commissioners, in your packet is the annual conflict of interest. It's not necessarily due today, but we do need you all to fill that out and sign it.
It goes to Charlotte.
Yes.
All right, so we look forward to the attraction updates, and I'll just start with you, Shelley, on the left, and we'll go around the table.
We got done with our busiest in August, so we had 13 firms and our phone was 13 days, so we all survived. So kudos for us. We had over 55,000 people within these 13 days come through. So with weather, the heat, and the storms, we'll make it through. So right now we've got 9 shows left between now and October 15th. Probably another 20 stars and people there with the ones. The side we're just actually my mind's in 2026 already, where we can have the budgets and all that good stuff to see what we need to kind of start working on for next season. So that's about it.
Wonderful. Neil?
Hi, Joe Deal from Argyle. As Terry mentioned, said at the last commission meeting, we put 4 shows of the Odyssey on sale a year in advance. They all sold out in about, 2 hours. So that was a fun midnight to 2 a.m. They also all got commemorative tickets. Our group sales manager had to email out every single one of those codes one by one. There's like 1,200 emails, so good job, Maya. It was pretty cool. They all received them a week and a half ago, and seeing all those come through on social media was pretty neat. As Ashton said, we made a pretty strong end to the fiscal year. Recent movies that have done really well are F1, Superman, and Fantastic Four. We also had limited shows of the 50th anniversary bringback of Jaws that were just awesome. We were the top IMAX domestic standalone theater for both F1 and the Grateful Dead movie. Don't get terribly excited about the Grateful Dead movie, but IMAX was great. So let's keep it. Our revival series, which is mostly classics, like I use the term classics loosely, but we do that every month. That's continued to do really well. The last movie we had was 2001: A Space Odyssey, which, yes, is that cheating? It was, but it's still sold out, so I'll take it. We have an October fan vote going on right now, and everybody that comes can vote. We had 18 tournament style bracket. I just got the results going into the final round. The final round will be The Exorcist versus Zodiac. If you'd like to participate, you can get it on our social media. I think that one's going to be really close. Exciting news is starting at the end of this month, I believe it's on the 24th, we will have One Battle After Another on IMAX 70mm film. That is the next film from Paul Thomas Anderson as Leonardo DiCaprio in Indianapolis' own Chase Infinity. I didn't know that until Rob told me. Good job. I have reached out to more people, no response. Let's see. Anyways, we're one of 10 theaters in the world that has that on film. The first show sold out pretty quickly. We have 2 weeks. That'll be fun. There's a potential, and I say potential loosely, it's happening. Sinners bring back on film, starting on Halloween. Neil's not terribly thrilled about that. I really like Halloween, but now I'll be here. And for the end of the year, it's going to be pretty strong. We've got Tron Ares, Wicked for Good, and Avatar Fire and Ash. As last, but certainly not least, we signed a contract to get brand new seats. They will be installed sometime in January or February. It's like literally the only complaint we ever get. It'll be nice.
And those seats, Neil, are being funded from reserves and CapEx accounts, no state dollars, no taxpayers.
Correct.
All right, thank you, Neil. Joe, I didn't mean to skip you because you obviously take care of everything here. And
You are an attraction, Joe.
You are in and of yourself. You're an attraction. We thank you for making the park look so beautiful.
Thank you.
Well, normally we would have Kathy Faree here today, and her place is Eric Todd, the CFO of the Indiana State Museum. We'll let you give us an update on the State Museum.
Absolutely. So we usually August, first half of September is kind of a quieter time for us. It's been busier and a lot of events, and just kind of piggybacking on what was said earlier. Charlotte and Alec, Terry, everybody's been great. The communication between us on figuring working solutions has been the best it's ever been. So I really appreciate their work. We had Tinkerfest this weekend, Friday for school students, and then Saturday it's a public event. It's kind of a maker fair style event. One of the highlights that we're working with the park on is there will be a big catapult that'll chuck pumpkins across the front line of the museum. So that was quite an attraction last year. We're starting to see field trips come back, again, working on bus parking, and they're coming back a lot earlier this year, which is good to see. And then we're just gearing up. Fall is busy. We have a big event in the middle of October, Boo Back, that was kind of turned into a new signature event for us in the fall. And then pretty shortly after that, we'll start the kind of visible side of the holiday build up and head into that.
Wonderful. Thank you. Sure. Dr. Rob?
Well, I think like everybody, August was great. So no complaints about end of the summer. That was fantastic. Big announcement for us on September 27th is our Indianapolis Prize Gala right here at the Marriott. But maybe more important, or just as importantly, a number of associated events locally and around the state, lecture series, panel discussions, so on with many of the conservationists that are coming in town for that. So if you go to our website, there's a link us there. And if anyone needs tickets for anything, please let me know. There are a very small number of seats left at the Indianapolis Prize Gala. If anyone's interested, again, please let me know. I'd be very happy to help. almost simultaneously as we're having the prize gala is the opening weekend of Zubu. And so that runs obviously, through Halloween. I think we're going a few days past Halloween this year to early November. Between, the end of September through the starting end of September through the end of December, is the busiest time of the year. Most people think it's summer for us. Summer's busy, but fall into Christmas at the zoo is our busiest time of the year in terms of attendance. So it'll be ramping up. We expect Zubu to be another big one for us. Last October was the biggest October in our history, and so we'll see if we rival that this year. But lots of good things to come for the fall.
That's awesome. Good luck.
Thank you.
Katie?
Sure. So we also had a wonderful summer. I had a radical stitch exhibit. We had an incredible Indian market and festival, and we are starting. We have Quest for the West, which was a record-breaking year for us for sales. We sold $1.3 million worth of art this weekend on Friday and Saturday night. So you can see it upstairs on your way out. Quest for the West is the best of the best Western artists working today. And they all come in. We have about 50 artists here and several hundred people working Friday night, Saturday night. So it was a lot of fun. So recovering with it. And we're also getting ready to open after that closes in October. We will open our Contemporary Fellowship, which is a nationally recognized program to support Native contemporary artists, also the best of contemporary Native artists working today. And then we have our annual Dia de los Muertos celebration on October 25th. So that's our highest attended day every year. We have about 5,600 people that we expect on that day. So it's a lot of fun. It's a free day. Encourage everyone to come and bring their family. We also have Indigenous Peoples Day on October 13th, which is also a cool programming and also free.
Wonderful. Thank you. Mr. Lewandowski.
Yes, sir. Game 71 of 75 in 3 hours. And as mentioned, we did have some challenges early, weather. We have lots of great promotions and deals, but Mother Nature always ends up being our biggest promotional piece and was challenging early on. But like everyone else, we've got a great late push. We'll end up finishing second within our industry of the 120 minor league clubs. We'll end up second likely in overall attendance around 565,000. I think some of the other challenges that we haven't mentioned, I want to thank our colleagues. We battled, if you tried to traverse the Southwest Quad, and West Street, it has been challenging for a good chunk of the summer. We've come together, I think, really well as a group to help bolster the communication from some of the contractors and things that were happening. But it has been a constant fight, I think, for everybody throughout the summer months. But the end is in sight, we hope, for most of that. And then for us, we do wrap up the Indian season this weekend on Sunday. And then for us, the Indianapolis Indians Charities, our signature fundraiser swing is Friday, September 26th. We'll see Lou Gehrig there for sure, in 1930s garb, and we're looking forward to that.
The word is done.
Another successful season, the 29th season at Victory Field. So we'll be planning on season number 30, if you can believe that, at the moment.
That's great.
Joe Bale, if I may, Randy's done a really great job with that construction. He kind of talked about it as a team effort. Randy's done a great job leading that for the park and the attractions with Blue Line. They host and lead a lot of those conversations. So we're really grateful for Randy's work for that.
Great. Thank you. Well, before I ask for a motion to adjourn, I do want to welcome Commissioner Tees and Justin Millett, Commissioner Millett, for joining us a little bit late. And then Brittany Crone. I recognized you earlier before you got here, but welcome to the commission. We look forward to working with you. And please reach out if you need anything from any of us. Thank you.
Joe Bill, let me just thank Randy. We had an event called, our firm did called Seat at the Table. And we invited traditional Lou Gehrig 20, and by the end it was 60 people. And Terry won a baseball, and we just played catch. We just
You can tell them the reason why I won.
because you were the best looking there.
The oldest. He said I wasn't oldest, but no one else held up their hand, so I admitted to being what I thought was the oldest.
Well, we did it after the movie Field of Dreams, where they just want to play catch. So we had 60. We had one family that had 3 generations, and but Randy was kind enough to open up the outfield, and we honored Jim Morris and Dr. Cease, who raised the private funds for the building of the stadium and field in 1996, which opened on July 11th, 1996. Thank you very much, Randy.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any other comments that anybody would like to make? Otherwise, I will call for a motion to adjourn.
Second.
All right. Thank you all for attending. Thank you very much.
So.
I